Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Money Q&A show, the show that answers your questions, helps you in a pinch, and is going to be here to answer the tough questions. I kind of got into it last week. You all really chimed in last week with some interesting ones around the topic of retailers deleting reviews. But yeah, some I could see, some I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting. Anyway, if you guys want to see more about that topic, go check out last week's show. Also, if you guys don't know, I have a web store. I sell cool morale patches, all like custom original ideas, things like that, sayings, original art, all that is out there, free shipping worldwide. It goes to support the show. Plus, you get some really cool morale patches, and I try to keep them very, very affordable, including that free shipping, so you can just get them, anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live, as long as it's not like North Korea or a few other countries, but heck, you're not watching from there anyway. Also, don't forget, this is your show, which means your questions end up on here by putting them in the comment section below. I enjoy the dialogue. I enjoy all of you discussing them down there, answering each other's questions, helping out. I will even jump in and answer some that have already been answered down there, because I feel like it's something that all of you maybe want to hear or share, and I try to bring some of your input from your guys' answers and comments into here. Also, if you have a channel, your own, or one you love, please recommend that down there below. I put those at the end of the show in the video recommendation of the week. That is the Code Red Headsets video recommendation week. But enough about that. Let's dive on into what you're really here for, and that is your questions from last week in this week's Tippmann mail call. NZX Eagle writes, "Hey Jonathan, what do you think of the new Novritsch 6.44mm 0.58 gram BBs? Do you think it's a marketing strategy, or is it actually good?" So this has been the talk in the past week or two, I guess, on the internet, about a week and a half since the drop, this full thrust, which I have a very strong feeling, and I think it was pretty intentional on the naming on that one. Anyway, it's called Full Thrust, and it is a wide bore, ultra wide bore barrel. We're talking 6.44mm inner diameter. For those that are maybe a little newer to airsoft, BBs or barrels are typically right around 6mm, actually just a hair above it. The barrel is usually like 6.03 or 6.04 or 5 millimeters in inner diameter, meaning the inside size of the barrel itself. The BB itself is usually 5.95 millimeters, gives you a little gap there in between. Some type of barrels are even 6.00 millimeters, because BBs are pretty well made these days. They don't get any like really oddball size. In the past, it really wasn't possible, but now it really is due to manufacturing, how they're making BBs a lot better. Well, Novritsch has stepped up and is saying, okay, well, we can only make a BB so heavy that's biodegradable. That's it. There's only so much we can do. And let me preface this. It's not biodegradable. It is made from PLA, so it's compostable, not biodegradable. I know we all call them bio BBs, but they're actually compostable BBs. So anyway, he has made, hit the limit with his sniper bees. People who play the sniper role, who use sniper rifles, they really want a heavier BB. It usually deals with the wind better, it'll fly straighter and truer, it holds energy longer, and you can dial those things up and really get a nice straight long shot. And when it hits the target, a little more energy transfer, let them know they're hit, because that's one BB on target versus an AG. You can just kind of flutter it, or GBB, just put a lot of rounds down range to get accuracy through volume. So he's sized up to this big BB now. It's 6.44. He's added a lot of size to it. It's noticeably bigger, and it allows him to get above the cap. I think it was like 0.46 or something like that grams. Was the weight, the max weight you could do without starting to add like metal, like heavy metal content to it, where you couldn't even have a bio anymore. There are some other BBs out on the market, yes, I know, that are heavier, but they're not biodegradable. They might be inert, or they might actually have a higher metal content in them. So by him going to a larger size, it allows him to mass up. In the past, we've even had 8mm airsoft. In fact, I've had some 8mm airsoft pistols. There was a great shotgun back in the day that was like green gas powered. So a larger BB isn't unheard of, but 6.44 is kind of an oddball size. So he's picked this, he's going with the barrel, and he's producing this. He has conversion kits for VSR10 and of course his SSG24. So that lets you back. Now there's nothing else out there for AEGs or things like that, and there's also some other things. You have to have new magazines because the BB's so big, you have to have a magazine that fits it. You have to have a new speed loader to accommodate the bigger BB if you want to have that instead of you going to be hand loading each one. So there's some things, but his kit includes all that. I think for those that are wanting the search for the heaviest BB possible, it is the next step. We've maxed out with the bio. You can't go any higher. So yes, this makes sense. And of course it makes sense for him to release it. He's kind of the airsoft sniper, right? He's the one that is kind of the most well-known by far on the internet, and especially in YouTube world. I think it is a niche audience. I think some fields, there's field testimonials. I went full research on his site. There's field testimonials, fields are talking about this. There's some concerns about joule creep, obviously, and if you guys want to get into what's called joule creep, which is the energy, which most fields, in my opinion, should be measuring the chronograph at joules, not feet per second. That way everybody's on the same level playing field. There's some concerns, but if you chrono at joules, shouldn't be an issue. I think there are people that are concerned. Novritsch shows in his thing that is actually in a penetration test. It's actually penetrating into clay a little less, and also skin irritation test. Larger object, less chance of embedding into your skin, which makes sense, kind of makes sense on that one. So there's a lot of positives he's spinning on the marketing side. I think really at the end of the day, it's for people who just want a heavier BB to get that advantage, for it to fly more straight, to maybe not deviate if you bump a little piece of grass on the way or the wind's kind of breezy that day. I think for those that want a little extra accuracy at range with a sniper rifle, I think this is kind of a solution for them. The thing is, though, I've seen some airsoft teching forums talking about, well, is this real? Is it not? Does it work? Is it doesn't? But they're seeing some airsoft snipers out there that are actually loving this, other YouTubers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a hold of one of these. And I actually do have an SSG24, if you didn't know. And I'm going to put the two together. We're going to see. I'm going to see what we can do with this. See if we see, try to give at least some sort of real-world-ish test from someone who isn't an airsoft sniper. Maybe I can look at this with different eyes and see, is it, or is it just, the placebo effect, right? So I'm curious. I'm going to do that for you guys and gals. I know it's a long explanation for a short answer. I don't have a definitive answer. I will say that when I reviewed the SSG24, it was a pretty darn good sniper rifle. I mean, for real, like out of the box, like I'd say the best stock shooting one. It's hard for me to say the word best. It really is. Just because he was pre-upgraded and tuned the right way. His pistol, actually quite a good pistol. I was really surprised at that. So I've been surprised enough in the past that I'm not going to be incredibly surprised. I'm going to go in this very objectively, and I'm expecting some results, some positive results, because every time he's delivered in the past, it's been that way. But I'm still going to look at this with objective eyes. So anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to try to track one down. I mean, I want if I have to. It doesn't matter. I gotta find one somewhere around here, probably order one or something like that, and we'll see. So yeah, stay tuned on the channel. Don't forget to sub down below, and we'll dive deep on it. Top Shots 11 writes, "Hey Jonathan, love the show. My question is, what do you think about a red tracer versus green tracer game? It looks like a Star Wars battle." So yeah, it's cool, and some of you guys already jumped in on this. The first thing I thought was, yes, but the problem is with red tracers, they just don't glow as much. Right now, the technology, I don't know why, isn't there. Green tracers are far superior. They're brighter, they're everything. Most companies that have come out with the red tracer have given it up just because it's just not as bright. Even with the best tracers in the market, like the Ace Tech stuff that's out there, the full power ones, they're just not bright enough to get enough energy, light into that red BB out there. But that aside, sure would look like a Star Wars battle. And I love the idea of color coding teams. Maybe we could do blue, yellow, or something like that. If there's tracers that are out yellow, maybe we can look at different colors that way. That could work. The reason I don't like red, and this is it, I think everything else is great. The reason I don't like red as a tracer choice is that usually when you're playing dark night games where you're going to take advantage of tracers, that you will need a dead rag, a way to signal that you were out or hit, and that's where a red light typically comes in. a red light and a sea of red tracer BBs flying around probably isn't the best mix in my opinion. So red versus green, probably not. There's also a small fraction of the population that are red-green colorblind, although I don't foresee that be a major issue. For the few that are, you still would just play the normal way. You know, you'd see glowing BBs, but you wouldn't be able to differentiate between the teams. But that's such a small fraction that I don't think that would be a major concern. That the few players that would be could still identify that they're with their own team. I like the team differentiation. Like you're seeing inbound color that's not yours. Okay, well that's the other team, right? It's definitely obvious. I love the idea. I think it's cool, but it would have to be something like yellow and blue or something like that, where which you'd still deal with potential colorblind issues there. You deal with something that's maybe not going to get in the way with marking dead rags. Like I said, in the low lights that. As for tracers, I love them even at indoor fields. Like even when the lights are on, I still use them because they show up on camera really good. Like your GoPro, they show up great. You can always pop the color, that green mark in your, pop that one color and you go into the post-production and push it up and you can really see them a lot better. Lets you see the BBs in the air as you're playing, see them hit the target better. There's a lot of positives for me. I pretty much for indoor play have almost fully switched over to tracer BBs. I'm sold. I've got like a bunch of Ace Tech tracers. I actually love them. They really are top of the game I feel right now on the tracer device market. As for BBs, there's tons of great companies that make them. I can just rattle off a bunch of them, like BLS, G&G. I don't think Elite Force makes anymore. There's just a bunch. I mean, there's so many great companies out there pumping out good tracer BBs. So anyway, I think it's a cool idea. Just modify the colors a little bit, and I think we have a great game. Darth Revan writes, hey Jonathan, what one-buy optic, red dot hollow reflex, is the best for someone buying their first one-buy non-iron sight optic? It's kind of a personal preference, but I really like what I've got back there, that one there. I've become a fan of the T1 with the high riser. There's a reason I like that. A couple reasons. One, there's a lot of different brands out there. Usually have a pretty sharp dot on them. You can pick them up relatively cheap. It's a good design. They're small, which means they have less of a chance to get hit with the BB. Companies are already making shields for them. This one has like a honeycomb on the front. Like if you notice, it's a little longer there on the front. It's because it's got a screw-on honeycomb, so it'll take the BB hit. I've got another one on one of my guns in here that actually has like a Lexane that was cut out. It was made by Dytac. They actually make one that slides right over. It'll also fit this one because it's like a standard size. They run on a standard battery. You can pick up anywhere, and because they're a high riser, if you're wearing lower face protection, it gives you a little height on that, and it lets you use that lower face pro and still get down on your sights and not have trouble seeing. That's why I really like that as a starter. The holographic sights, like the EOTech replicas or even a real EOTech, just a big piece of glass. It's a big target. I've had some of those shot out before. These I've seen, they're smaller, less of a chance to break when they get hit. You've got good protection. Of course, you can get protection for the EOTechs. I know you can. And there are positives for it. But I think if you're going to make an investment in one, these are really easy to get. There's no licensing concerns like on the EOTech where you're getting something that's counterfeit and there could be challenges depending on where you live. There's so many good reasons to pick up one of these. And pretty much every shop carries some variation of that, something. So that's my thought. I actually put on that gun just to make sure. I think, honestly, the EOTech looks cooler on a Vector, but functionality-wise, I still end up using these. I've got a couple of them. They move from gun to gun just because it's really my go-to, honestly. Unless I'm using like something that's going to have real range, like a sniper rifle or a DMR, where I want a variable optic. For a red dot, one by, no magnification, that's going to be it. But this week's video recommendation, of course, as always comes from you, or most as always comes from you. This one's from English Kiwi, who's actually been on here before. He actually recommends a couple channels, but I'm going to reach in and pull out the purple helmet. Another one from his side of the pond over there in the England. I'm pretty sure the purple helmet is up in Scotland, coming out of that zone. And I didn't know about this channel, and it's actually quite good. For those of you who are wanting, I get so many questions about teching, right? Like how to do stuff. Some of the basics are where you need to be. How to solder, how to do certain things, basic tech things that are important for Airsoft, right? Because you're coming to fix some stuff and repair some stuff. He's got teardown videos, and I'm showing right now the how to solder video. Also, this guy's pretty funny. Like I have to admit, like I clicked in the video, I was like, oh yeah. That's it. We got a winner right here. The humor is definitely my speed. I kind of like that that English, British, Scottish Irish humor. That's kind of like my thing. I like little like that's I don't know. That kind of humor always gets me. It's always been my favorite thing to like. Just makes me chuckle a little bit. Definitely not to be lost on this one. So if you guys are looking for a channel with a little bit of gameplay, a little more tech, he doesn't put out videos like every single day or like every single week, but he's got a pretty good release schedule and his content is good, especially if you're wanting to pick up some teching. Check out the Purple Helmet. Definitely one to add to your subscriber list if you're wanting to be a fledgling or intermediate tech in the airsoft world. Worth the watch. And of course, if you have your own channel or a channel you love, please put it down in the comment section below this week. I'll do my best to get on next week, highlight it, and hopefully promote your channel or the channel you love as well. So anyway, until next time, go out, play some airsoft, have some fun, but no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.